Houston 81, Gonzaga 76. Gonzaga's Sweet 16 streak ends at 9 seasons. Houston now has the longest active streak in the country at 6 straight seasons with a Sweet 16 appearance. It got sweaty.
Yeah,
It got sweaty, Dion.
yeah.
Um, are you choosing to think about this more as the way Houston was able to build a double-digit lead to maintain that for most of the game, or the way they almost collapsed?
Way they almost collapsed, I think showed a little bit more of Houston's weaknesses. With that in mind, I think Houston's really good and kind of just had a mental lapse. The problem is Gonzaga didn't look the way they looked in the first game against Georgia or in the WCC tournament, excuse me, to where that mental lapse like was forgivable. I thought the Gonzaga performance was okay. Grant Ike hit some monster threes in the beginning of the second half when Houston was getting ready to run away with it to keep Gonzaga in it. Khalif Battle was good, Nemhart was good, but they didn't really get anything else from anybody else, in my opinion. I thought Houston was very clearly the more athletic team, bigger, stronger, faster team, but they just like they just like kind of quit for a second. I think they thought it was over and just let off the
Yeah.
gas and then looked up and said, "Oh my God, like how do I start the car up again?" But the car wouldn't start. Like the battery was dead a little bit. And luckily for them, Gonzaga's battery also died and they were able to get out of there with one. But some of the turnovers they had down the stretch, the one they had where they ended up fouling Khalif Battle, I mean, that's absolutely inexcusable in a game where you're up by three. So just some of with 30 seconds left, some of the stuff they did, I just felt like was inexcusable for a team of Houston's caliber with
Yeah.
Houston's expectations. But that in mind, it's March Madness, survive and advance. They were five and
Yeah.
a half point favorites. They didn't cover, but they didn't cover by half a point. Survive and advance.
So this for me, if you've paid attention to the channel and my content since October, this is what I was scared of with Houston this season and their guards. Because their guards are really good, but the way they play and the fact they don't have somebody who could get their own stuff. Uzan ended up being that guy this season, but he kind of disappeared late in this game. When push came to shove, late in a tournament game, I had questions about who was going to get you out of that.
Right.
They had nobody to get them out of that in this game. They just had built themselves too big of a lead.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I completely agree. They Houston doesn't have JT Toppin, right? Houston doesn't have Janai Broom or Todd Pettiford, by the way. Special.
Well, that's the
Hopefully,
that's the that's the important part because you can like Juwan Roberts can be your guy, and
yeah,
LJ Cryer hit the free throws at the end, and they got some key offensive rebounds, and they made the defensive stop they needed to make. They did the Houston things they needed to do, but you're not in that spot where you have to do the Houston things if Jamal Shed hits like two pull-up jumpers in the last 5 minutes,
right.
or
Well,
Marcus Sasser goes and does something.
what I thought was interesting, I don't know if you heard this in the halftime show, and I don't know who said this, so I apologize for whoever did say this, but someone said Candace's favorite player, LJ Cryer, is a bit up and down, and you got the up version of LJ Cryer. Well, you got the down version in the second half, and I think that's part of the problem, right? Where these Houston guards are a bit up and down. I would even say Milos Uzon isn't up and down. I think he's very steady. But Milos Uzon has some of the same characteristics I would say Braden Smith does, where he will take himself a little bit out of the game in his own right.
Yeah,
Where he will just if the defense flashes traps or doubles, he will kind of like remove himself from the process a little bit there. And I don't think he's up and down, but they all their guards can be sporadic at times. This is college basketball. Everyone's guards can be sporadic, but it kills you if you're going against a Florida team who, if two guards are sporadic, the third one just hits you for 25. If you go against Duke, whose guards are sporadic, but they have Coop and Man in the front court, and they got Isaiah Evans and all these other guys on the team too. Or Auburn, same situation as Florida. So I don't think it hurt them in this game. I don't believe it will hurt them in the next one. I believe they play. They
they
don't
play
get the winner.
Purdue. Houston will play Purdue.
Purdue.
Yeah,
Oh, hey, you know what? It might hurt them against Purdue.
it may. It may not because I think they overwhelm Purdue. I think the Houston question that gets into a likely matchup with Tennessee. We were recording this at the start of the second half. Tennessee leading UCLA by 10. Potential matchup with Tennessee, potential matchup with Duke, potential matchup with Florida. Like of the top seeds that are left, that's the path that Houston would have to go through. And Houston does, 99% of things incredibly well.
Yeah,
The one is just the shot creation. When you need a bucket, who goes and gets it?
right.
And I give them a ton of credit because Uzan has been that guy and emerged as that guy for a good portion of the season. He wasn't that in this game. LJ Cryer played really, really well for 35 minutes.
Right.
He's a phenomenal number two. And if Uzan's playing like Uzan played the last 2 months of the year and Cryer plays half as good as he did tonight, Houston can win the whole thing. They can run through that gauntlet and be fine.
Right.
Right. Like I think that's going to get lost in this too. Houston just kind of handled a KenPom top 10 team for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing.
In the 5 minutes they didn't handle them, and I mean this respectfully to Gonzaga, was more of a testament to Houston than Gonzaga. So if
Yeah.
Houston locks in within those final 5 minutes, I don't think we're having the same discourse we're having now. We're probably talking about Houston like what another phenomenal performance they had.
Yeah.
Can the other teams match it? Auburn didn't. All eyes are on Duke and Florida tomorrow from the one seed perspective. But Florida had a or excuse me, Houston had a mental lapse and put themselves in this situation where we're maybe questioning a tad. But I don't think I buy it that this is who Houston is. I think they just had a 5 minute mental lapse that was ridiculous too. I can't
Yeah.
stress enough how ridiculous that turnover was with 30 seconds. Subsequently, the foul was even more ridiculous
The foul was smart
because it prevents them from shooting a
because it
three.
prevents them from getting a three and it ultimately won them the game.
That's fair.
It
That's fair.
ultimately won them. It ultimately won them the game.
The dude that fouled him wasn't thinking about that though. Did it wind up being smart? Yeah.
No, normally I would agree with you, but given that it's Houston and Kelvin Sampson, I think he was aware. I think that was a smart decision. That was a conscious one.
I hope you're right from the standpoint of I mean, that makes them look better for everything else that happened, but I think he kind of just reached out. Bring the take foul to college basketball, by the way.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. Now, the the reason Gonzaga lost to you, and this is part of my issue with Gonzaga and why I was also down on them this year, just so happened that these two played each other. Um, like I think we saw their lack of shot creators as well.
Hmm.
Particularly on that last possession, he went to Caleb Battle because he is the only one who can kind of be that, and he is fine, but he's not somebody who, um, he's more the guy I think you hope can make a play because he can, not because you trust him to make the right one.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I think he do you think he develops into that though? Because like I think he has all the ability to become that guy for them. Like he just isn't necessarily right now. Now he's 24 years old. He has no eligibility left, I'm assuming.
Correct, correct.
Okay. Well, then he can't
So
develop it.
he does not.
Yeah. But in
That,
theory, like he screams like late progression NBA guy to me. Like he screams like, hey, this kid got a two-way and wound up playing 8, 9 years in the league because he has all the physical tools. He just doesn't have that extra
yeah.
gear. Todd Pettiford's delusional. I think it takes being delusional to be a star player sometimes. And I think Khalif Battle's a little too aware of who he is.
Last thing, because Gonzaga, it'll be interesting next year. You do get Graham Ike back. Seems like he's going to be coming back, which is a good thing for Gonzaga. I think they have to hit the portal to get some more of those guys, some shot creators on the wing. I think that's ultimately why their season did not end up continuing the Sweet 16 streak. But from Houston, more confident in them going into next weekend after this game, or less confident in them? Because I think if 2 hours ago you would have said if Houston wins this game, you're more confident in them moving forward. The obvious answer is yes, and it may still be yes. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on if you're more confident or less confident in Houston now after this game.
I think it's more, but it's very region oriented. I think they're lucky that they're going to get Purdue and then some combination of Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee.
Okay.
to go to the Final Four. Am I more confident in them against Duke? No. I think I'm less confident in them against Duke. But I think I'm more confident in them getting by the next two games than I was before tip off.
I think that's a good answer. I think that's a good answer.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.